In this module, we'll compare actually the Indian education system to US education system. Let's start with the city of New Delhi, which is the capital of India, and it's actually one of the, the second biggest city in India, probably after Mumbai. And it's the education system is supposed to be very good because this is the capital of India and very wealthy um, town. I mean, actually, Delhi is a small state of India too. It's not just a city. Um, so let's start with the population density. The population of New Delhi was 26 million if we include the metropolitan areas, which include cities from other states in the vicinity, or it's around like 18 million. And this if you go into Wikipedia page, the square footage of Delhi is only 573 square miles. So now let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so cities like New Delhi, they have very limited opportunities for entertainment. Like, the entire city population of 26 million, they barely had maybe 20 small golf courses, few swimming pools in the entire city. And these cost actually, oh my God, maybe $200-300 per month just to swim for an hour in these swimming pools. Insane high prices, and these are the ones where all the celebrities or maybe kids of extremely wealthy families may go. But the government run maybe few swimming pools. So now let's go to how the school system. I mean, no wonder our national debt why is so high, because in our schools we put too much emphasis on extracurricular activities. Um, our typical high school square footage and a high school square footage in like New Delhi, it could be, I don't know, maybe 1,000 times less. Um, and another interesting thing about India is that the students who are coming to foreign countries like US for education, almost all of them actually they went to private school. Very, very small percentage they might have gone to government school in India, but all of them they went to private school. And over there, um, almost all of them who came here to this country, they were receiving some form of private tutoring at home or in a tutoring center. And the tutoring actually prices are also very expensive for an average Indian family, but again incomes have gone up. So now let's get an estimate. The tutoring industry alone in India is around $40 billion, $40 billion per year. This is this number for a poor country like India, it's insanely high, but that's how it is because the population is, um, you know, you have a population of 125 crore, and 1 crore is equal to 10 million, so which is like 1.25 billion people living in India. There you go. It's talk. This article was published in 2017 May. Says the private tutoring is much higher than the e-commerce business or the radio taxi like Uber business. And the projected growth for this private tutoring industry is 35% in next 4 years. So this $40 billion industry might be $50 billion in few years. Um, this talks about the 1 out of 4 students in India. That's an average, and they take private tutoring. And in some states, it could be more than 75% taking private tutoring. Um, Now let's just keep going. That's the same. And then another very, very, fast mushrooming industry is educational consultants. So these are the consultants who actually help students all along the way if a student want to pursue foreign education. So what has happened in India over the number of years, that the cost of private education at K to 12 level and the engineering education in government institutes and of course in private has gone up quite a bit. Um, and these consultants basically they convince parents that if you are going to spend that much money in India and then there will be the quality of the education is actually very low, why might not spend a little bit more, and the government, the loans from the banks, they are easily available, and that way they do all the homework, filling out the applications, and researching in which country how much it would cost, and if students can go there and get a part-time job, work under the table, where what type of industry is. So these students are not only coming to US, they are going to Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. I mean, wherever you can think of, all along in Europe, England, um, Netherlands, Germany, Canada. Canada, very big destination, and of course US. And these companies are preparing all the letters of references, even helping forging the transcripts. Another very big, trend in India is these days that students they don't go to regular schools. What they're doing is they are only going during the exam days. They are staying home, studying and preparing for entrance to all the the engineering colleges exams in India or medical college exams in India, and then also preparing for SAT or other standardized testing. And schools just are, that's just a formality. They'll just go there maybe whenever there are some exams, because these schools do not offer any creativity. They don't impose any extracurricular work requirements, volunteer work requirements, or sports or clubs, or all the requirements we impose on students here in US, because in their opinion every minute spent on these other things is basically the time taken away from preparing from entrance exams. So all it is memorization, grill these students basically on challenging and challenging harder and harder problems, and prepare them so they can leave the country. And unfortunately a lot of these, I mean, these consultants, they know how the education system works in other countries, because these were started by the veterans, the students who studied in US. They know all the loopholes of our system. They know universities are not going to check for, there is no way universities actually here in US can verify, even if a student puts that, oh, I did this many hours of volunteer work or this type of extracurricular activity. It's impossible. The universities only are looking their scores on standardized testing, and that also these consultants, they have their own databases of questions. They send fake, people who have not even, have nothing to do with SAT, just to take an SAT, because anybody can register for SAT or other, these exams, and they go and they basically note down the questions and then um, prepare students along the same lines. That's another, corporate training. Again, going back to the same thing, is a very big opportunity in India, because the engineering colleges or vocational schools, they are not preparing. There is hardly any lab equipment, and many other issues which actually we will talk about in other modules. The reservation system, the quota system. Um, this talks about that how many students are enrolled, if this slide, and private schooling is the bedrock of India's thriving education system. Again, these schools are basically sometimes even homes. People are converting to schools. Hardly any opportunity for extracurricular, no playgrounds, and they are just packing 40 50 students in very tiny these classrooms, and all day just study, homework, memorization, that's all. And this article talks about that private schools, they gained 17 million students, government schools lost, because government schools are very poorly run, very poorly run, even though from infrastructure standpoint their carbon footprint might be bigger. They may have some playgrounds, may have room to put up labs, but then, due to reservation system and corruption in system, um, they don't offer much. This talks about, in school going children, what type of fundings are available from government, how much is spent, and then why Indians still choose to send their kids to private schools. Again, this talks about how much, there is a pressure actually basically in India to do better in exams, because over there it's a system of elimination. In US there is a system of selection. Your score in the standardized testing is extremely important, and then other factors which we are going to talk about: reservation, because there are very few seats available for general category, because India did have a caste system, but you will watch that in our other modules. Okay, I think we can just stop here. That's again going back to, the population density of New Delhi, which was like 30,000 people living every square mile. So you get an idea that how these schools actually can even offer to have a playground, have a swimming pool. Okay, I think we can stop